Hey kids, today I thought we would do a math video for 5th grade Eureka math, but really all math as a state test prep. All the teachers are probably getting you guys ready for state testing, and so in Eureka math I just pulled a few problems that I thought kind of exemplified really the most important skills that you guys need to know. It's basically a basic review with the must-know skills, and I pulled like one problem from, this, that, and the other lesson from modules 1 through 4. So it's just a whole variety of questions. So anyway, what I'd like you to do is on your paper, pause the video, copy down all these problems, and then solve them. So that is what I would like you to do. There are only 16. It's just the problems you see here on this page. Of course, nothing is done here. Just copy down the problems, pause the video, work them out on your own. And then you can unpause the video and check your work, because I'm going to do the problems right now. And hopefully it won't take us too long, and then you'll feel like, hey, I've got a good handle on these basic skills for my state test. Okay, all right, now that you have paused the video and unpaused and you're ready to go, let us solve these questions. All right, so the first one, don't worry, I wrote them down twice. I have them written over here on the side where you can't see them. All right, we have 91 and 49/100ths, and one thing that I do want you guys to notice is that on computers your problems are going to be written oftentimes across like this, okay? But most of the time when you do your solving and when you show your work, and on a math test you should all have your paper in front of you, and it should be covered in work. There's no like prize or trophy or medal for a student who sits there and is staring at the ceiling going, where did I put that? Okay, I'm gonna line this up and I'm gonna do this. And you don't get a medal for like thinking these things through. Show your work. And if you make a mistake, don't erase it. Do not erase it at all. Put a line through it, rewrite it, and start again so you can see what your mistake was from the first one. Okay, that's just basic test taking skills. Now, when we subtract on this one, the strategy is to line up the decimals. Many of my students went blazing ahead and they said 91.42, look at me go. And I was like, look at you not lining up your decimals. You know, time passes and kids forget what to do. So you need to line up your decimals. That is the skill. Once you do that and you have everything by place value, then it makes it really easy. 9 minus 0, 4 minus 7 you can't do, so you want to go here, take 1, give 10. And remember, just coach yourself through all the regrouping. It's so easy. Everybody should know it by now. 14 minus 7, decimal down, 0 minus 0, and the 9 comes down, 2. All right, so we had 361 and 31/100ths, and this one is minus 2.841, which again, the strategy is 2.841. Line up everything, use the decimal as your anchor. This is subtraction again. So what happens here when you have nothing to pull from? You can't just flip it and say 1 minus 0. That's not what we're taking from. We're taking from 0. So you need to fill that space with a 0 and then go about your regrouping. Okay, you can't take 1 from nothing. So you go here, you take 1, and this becomes a 0, but give 10. 0 plus 10 is 10. That's why I have this right here. It's basically just 10. So 10 minus 1 is 9. 0 minus 4 you can't do. Go here, take 1, give 10. 10 minus 4. 2 minus 8 you can't do. Gotta go here. Take 1, give 10. 12 minus 8 is 4. Decimal down. And then 0 minus 2, can't do. Take 1, give 10. 0 plus 10 is 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. The 5 minus 0, There's just, it comes right down, okay? You don't need to put a 0 here, and then 3 comes down too. Also, I want you guys to line up your work and be very neat, okay? Be as neat as possible. All right, for the next one, you have, most of the kids set this one up correctly. 2 is on the outside, 5.372 is on the inside. When you divide a decimal by a whole number, you put the decimal up. 5 divided by 2 is 2. This is that long division family, okay? So you do divide, multiply, subtract, compare, bring down, in that order like the dad, mom, sister, cousin, brother. 2 times 2, 4. Subtract 1. When there's 1 left over, we just bring down. Remember, place value matters. Everything should be lined up. 13 divided by 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. It's really 12 tenths. And then there's 1 left over. Bring down the 7. 17. Really 17 hundredths divided by 2. 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 1 is left. Bring down this 2. So keeping things lined up is really going to help you get the right answer. Okay, so take up a whole line for each number. And no, it shouldn't be all wonky and kind of wavy and taking up 2 lines. You got to be neater. You're almost in 6th grade at this point. So your final answer, 2.686 or 2 and 686 thousandths. Now the next one with this, I'm going to write it out because this is the one where if you have only whole numbers, the shortcut is to count the number of zeros and then look at really just 25 times 3. That is 75, and then 1, 2, 3 zeros because it's a whole number. If it was decimals, we would not be able to do that because then you have a lot of shifting. But 75,000 is the answer. If you choose to write it out and use the standard algorithm, please put the zeros on the bottom. Because when you have the zeros on the bottom, then you only have to use 1 line. Watch. 0 times everything is 0. That's 0 ones. We're all done. 0 tens times everything is 0 tens. We're all done. Moving over here to the hundreds place, 3 times 0, 3 times 5, carry the 1, 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And again, you get your 75,000 with the standard algorithm if you remember how to do that. And then compare. See, you got the same answer, but it's really easy doing it with the shortcut way. All right. We'll do number 5, standard algorithm. 648 times 35. And again, we're working vertically. Starting in the ones place, 5 times 8, 40. Then 5 times 4 is 20 plus 4 is 24. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 2 is 32. Done with that. Hold this spot with a 0. Move over to the next place value position. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 goes down. 2 goes up. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 is 14. Carry the 1. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. And when you add those up, 4, 6, 9, 12, and 2. 22,680 should be your final answer. And for number 6, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. We have 83.41. And that's multiplied by 504. Now this one was fun in class because remember, we haven't talked about this in a long time, but you have hundredths times ones. I'm going to put that over here just to remind you that when you have these place value positions, your answer should be in the hundredths. Okay, now this is our little thought bubble. You don't have to write that, you just kind of have to know it. Now, we do not place the decimal in the partial product, so let's start multiplying. 4 times 1, 4 times 4 is 16, carry. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 8 times 4 is 32, 33. And then we have, this is fun and it's a good thing to remember, that when you have a 0, you don't have to have a full line of zeros. So I can have a 0 here for the 4, a 0 here for the 0, And then I can start multiplying with the 5 in the hundreds place. 5 times 1, 5 times 4, 20, carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2, 17 with the 1. 5 times 8, 40, plus 1. And then add 6, 8, 3, 10, carry the 1, 2, 4. Where do you put the decimal? Okay, we need an answer with the hundreds, so it should go between the 8 and the 6. If you mess that up, sorry, fix it. If you brought it down and you said, like some of my students, oh, it goes right down here because we're anchoring or lining things up, that's not why. It just so happens that it falls in that place this time. Okay? Alrighty, let's see. Number 7, what am I on? 27 and 3/10 divided by 3. I think I'll just do that one right here. And if you divide with a decimal, you should put the decimal up right away if there is no decimal in the divisor. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Subtract 0. Bring down your 3. Divide the 3/10 by 3 and you get 1. 1 times 3 is 3. And you end up with a 9.1 as your final answer. For number 8, I'm going to turn the page because we have a little bit more room that we need. Now for number 8, the problem was 28 divided by 32. And I had students solving this one in 2 different ways. One student said, well, I'm going to use this as the fraction as division, 28 divided by 32. And then I'm going to simplify that because both of them are divisible by 4. And if I divide, instead of showing the equivalent, what if I just did divided by 4/4? 28 divided by 4 is 7, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. And I said, oh, that's cool. In the book, the directions had asked us to use division, long division. So this is a perfectly acceptable answer as long as the directions say, oh, you can work it out anyway, or use fractions as division. But if you were to set it up with long division, like the directions had stated, then the 28 goes on the inside and the 32 goes on the outside. And that's what we had been working on in this particular skill in the book, in the lesson that we were on. And when you have a problem with a smaller dividend, our job is to annex a decimal and a 0 or perhaps 2, but we can just go see how it goes so that we can divide. Now, if you have nothing that is, 32 is not going to fit into 28 because 28 is less than 32. You can hold it the ones place with a 0 and then move into the tenths and have 280 tenths divided by 32. This skill was I wish I had 30 as my divisor because I have to count by, because it's a double-digit divisor, I have to count by something in the tens. So if I use 30, I would say 3 times what number is going to get me as close to this without going over. Now if I do 3 times 9, that'll be 27, but it's not 30, it's 32. So I would probably try the 8 first, and then if that doesn't work out, then you can always go up or down 1. So 8 times 2 is 16, and then we have 24, 25. And subtraction. And 10 minus 6, or you can't do 0 minus 6, so you make it a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. We took 1 from here. 7 minus 5 is 2. And then we have 24, which is less than 32, so I can annex a 0 and bring it down. Now I have 240 hundredths that I'm dividing by 32. And I would probably do the same thing with my 3 and guess if 3 times 7 was around the right number, because we know what 8 is going to be. It's going to be too big, so bring it down 1. 7 times 2 is 14. Then 7 times 3 is 21 plus 1 is 22. Subtract, and again, use your regrouping. 10, take 1, give 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. One more time, annex a 0, bring it down, and we have 32 going into 160. How many times? Extend your line and try the 5. 5 times 2 with the 10 there. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is 16. And that gives us our 875 thousandths, which when you simplify that, you're going to get 7/8. But this is our decimal answer right here. So good stuff there, good review. Let's go on to number 9. 1/3 plus 1/5. Now remember, with fraction addition, you cannot add unlike numbers, and so they have to have a common denominator. The common denominators you're going to get with this skill of skip counting. I always like to think of the bigger number as the one I'm going to skip count with first, because I'm looking for multiples of my other number. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. It takes a few counts for me to get 15 for both, but 15 it is as my common denominator. So then when it has 1 as a numerator, it's really easy, but you would do the cross multiplication. 5 times 1 is 5. And 3 times 1 is 3, and do your addition across. And then we bring our label over, because when adding and subtracting, the denominator is really just a label. Another one, but not having ones on the top for the numerators, we have 3/4 plus 2/3. We have to have a common denominator. So 4 and 3. Another strategy, remember this, 4 times 3 equals 12. So 12 can be your common denominator for this fraction. Now if 12 is the common denominator, remember what the scale factor is, and I've said scale factor a bunch of times. It's the number that we're multiplying the one fraction by. So basically what you're doing here is you're going to take 3/4, you're going to multiply the whole fraction times 3 in order to get the numerator. Okay, so 3/4 is going to be equal to 9/12 because 3 times 3 is 9. And then the 2/3 is going to be multiplied by the scale factor of this. And so we're going to end up with 8. And when you add those together, you get 17 with this label, 12ths. And that gives you, 12 goes into 17. This is a division problem. 1 with 5/12ths left over. That's your answer. Okay? All right, moving forward. Number 11. Little subtraction. 2/3 minus 1/2. We must have common denominators when we do subtraction. If you multiply these two, you'll get 6. Okay, you can do the same strategy as we had up above. 2 is the scale factor for this fraction. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 is the scale factor for this fraction. 3 times 1 is 3. That's what I mean with cross multiply. 4 minus 3 is 1. 6 is our label. 1/6 is your answer. 12, when we have 1 and 1/3 minus 5/6, remember, you don't always have to multiply these to get a common denominator. You can, okay? But if I was to multiply these, I'd end up with 18. But I know that 3 can go into 6 2 times. Therefore, I can make 6ths out of thirds by using a scale factor of 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 1 is 2. Now I don't have to change this fraction at all. The only problem here, and we've talked about many different ways to subtract, is that I have to take away 5/6, and I only have 2/6 in the fraction. But remember, this 1 is essentially 6/6. That's what it equals. So what you can do is you can put this 1 together with the 2/6 to get 8/6, and then take away the 5/6, and that was one of our strategies. to get the answer to the subtraction. If you end up with 3, 6, you know, hopefully from my Mrs. Setness's rules for simplifying, this is one of those doubles. It's the most common one you should look for, and it is equal to 1/2. All of these doubles simplify to 1/2. Okay. Okay, next. I think I'm going to turn the page so I have lots of room. And number 13 is 17 minus 15 2/3. And this one, I always have my favorite student that I call and I say, okay, this is your favorite thing to do here. When subtracting with a whole number or a mixed number, whole number minus a mixed number, do the subtraction that you can first. 17 minus 15 is 2. But I still have to take away more. So what happens with this one? We're going down from 2. As soon as you go down, you're in the 1 territory. How do you figure out the rest? It's the difference between these two, that's your numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So the answer is 1 1/3 because you're taking away 15 from 17 to get 2, and then you're still continuing to take away more, 2/3 more. Hopefully you guys understand that one. Quick addition problem. 15 5/8 plus 5 2/5. And again, combine what you can. I'm going to combine the whole numbers, 15 plus 5 for 20. Now I can worry about my fractions, which need common denominators. The lowest common denominator is going to be 40 for these, which is the other number is the scale factor. Okay, so if 5 times 8 gives me 40, then 5 times 5 is 25. And if 8 times 5 is 40, then 8 times 2 is 16. Don't forget your 20. Now we need to add our 25 and 16. 25 and 10 would be 35, and 35 plus 6 would be 41. Now I have 20 plus an improper fraction. So what is this? This is more than 1. That's 1 and 1/40 that I need to add to 20. And so the final answer is 21 and 1/40. And hopefully you got that right. Finally, our last two are the fraction of a number, and it's a really important skill for 5th graders. The first one was 1/5 of 20. Okay, and they may show you a set of 20 things looking like this. And they would do this, shade that much. And they would say, well, what is 1/5 of 20? See how there are 5 parts and there's a total of 20? You're actually counting by 4. It's not a fraction, it's actually a whole number. 4 is the answer. If you were to set it up like this, that is also what this says. Of means multiply. If you multiply 1 times 20, you get 20, and 5 times 1, you get 5. And guess what? 20 divided by 5 is also 4. So remember, a fraction of a number is not a fraction. It's usually going to be a whole number. Same thing with number 16. Kind of like the, if you know 1/5 of 20, how does that help you know 4/5 of 20? And so you're doing the same thing. If this is 1, then 4 would be how many? Well, it would be 16. I can tell by looking at it. But mathematically, how am I going to solve that? Okay, set it up. 4 times 20 over 5 times 1. You could use the commutative property to shuffle these around. That's what cross-canceling is. 5 is a factor for both of these. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then I have 4 times 4 for the 16. And that's my whole number, and which I can also see here. So anyway, this is hopefully some pretty solid test prep help for state test prep, and I hope you guys are ready to Just get in there and attack that test and ace it. I hope my videos have been helpful for you this year. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.